Hello, everyone. Welcome today to our webinar on healing and how to avoid burnout. My name is Carlos. I am the Chief Content Director at Change Lawyers, and it's so great to see so many familiar names joining us once again. This is our final event on our Own Your Power series that we have been hosting with Hella Social Impact. It's Pride Month, and I have to remind myself of everything that our communities have gone through and how sometimes it's just you can't help but feel burned out. Like you just have to sit in that for a moment. Um, and how long it's taken me to move past the burnout and begin the healing process. And I know that a lot of the folks joining us are also feeling that way, a similar sort of overwhelming sense. So I'm very happy to be hosting this event today with you all. And so I'm going to introduce our folks who have been leading this series since January. It's been a 6-month journey. So welcome, Lynn, and welcome, Stefania. Thank you for being here once again, and I'll let you all take it over.
Thanks, Carlos. Yes, I want to also say Happy Pride Month. I decided to wear my rainbow today, and my shirt actually says, let me see if you can see it. It says, "Love conquers all," and I think it's a really cute shirt. But I actually don't fully believe in the sentiment. I don't believe that love conquers all. I believe that love is key and central to this work, but that it takes more than that. It takes more than love, and it takes practice over and over again of how to kind of recover and show up and heal and strengthen for the long term. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Stefania, I'm going to turn it over to you in just a second, but I want to say hi and I want to just give folks a recap of where we've been before we start.
Great. Hi.
So as Carlos said, Stefania and I have loved every minute of being part of this series with Change Lawyers, Own Your Power. We started off with a session in January talking about what it means to show up for social justice. We walked you through our Notice, Name, Dismantle framework and gave you an overview of the work that we do, supporting organizations and leaders to really do the work and showing up for the work of racial justice. And then we moved on from there and talked about imposter syndrome, and how imposter syndrome feels. It's real. It's a real feeling on the inside, this idea that we're not kind of enough and we're not quite worthy, but that it comes, it's like, although it's not true, it does come from systems of oppression that tell us, as queer folks, as Black folks, as non-Black folks of color, as women and non-binary folks and gender expansive folks, that we aren't good enough. We hear those messages all the time, and talked about how we can kind of overcome that and how we can recognize white supremacy culture, even when it's invisible, and move past that. We moved on to talked about inclusion. We talked about how we create inclusive environments, which is at the core of what we are all about. How do we create inclusive and equitable environments where we work and where we live? We did some courageous conversations, talked about how you put yourself all the way out there, as I like to say, to really call people in, call people out. The last session we did was about holding our vision and values. Those of us who live this life on the margins, it's super important for us to really be clear about what our vision for change is and what our values are, and then how to create a culture that allows that to come into fruition. There's a lot of work, and there's been a lot going on, so much going on in our collective lives, and our individual lives. We're just I feel like it's just always coming at us. It's been coming at me, been coming at Stefania like nonstop, it feels like, for the last few weeks. And so in order for us to keep showing up and doing this, we thought it was the most fitting to kind of end this series with, how do we heal ourselves? How do we strengthen ourselves? How do we make it to keep going through all of this? And I am excited to be a participant today and join you all in the healing.
Yes, so joining us in a moment will be our dear friend, Anthony Williams. You can find him at mindwell.co, mindwell.co. And he's going to share a little bit about who he is and how he came to healing work. If I could just preface that a little bit by saying that Anthony came up from foster care to elite prep school, graduating with honors, to Ivy League University. Some things happened which he will talk about, and he ended up in Africa and had some transformative experiences there, which opened up the path to doing what he does. And a couple of years ago, at the beginning of lockdown, when so many of us were, catapulted into this new reality where we were at home and cut off from maybe all the things that we used to do for self-care, like going dancing or going to the gym or practicing yoga in community with people. Suddenly we had to figure out how to do all of that on our own. And Anthony started leading mindfulness classes for free on Instagram at first, and then moved over to, I think it was Zoom, but just taking moments every day to breathe and ground. And he taught us all how to do that. And so as part of our self-care practice, he's going to show us and talk to us a little bit about that as well. So without further ado, please meet our dear friend, Anthony Williams.
Hello. Thank you, Stefania. Thank you, Lynn. This is hard for me because I can't see anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have no idea how many people are on here. Is there any way to interact, or I just kind of speak off the cuff here?
Yes, people can share in the comments if you ask questions or thoughts. They'll yes, it's a little bit of a different format. This is more like you're on TV and your audience is out there, but they can see, hear you, and interact with you in the comments.
Okay. Well, let me just start by just asking a question. What do people feel is their biggest obstacle, their biggest impediment that they're dealing with in doing the work that they're doing? If you can succinctly share that with me, I can kind of go from there. Give me something to work with.
So we'll give everyone a minute to think and share in comments.
While people are sharing in the comments, Anthony, about the biggest obstacle, I have one that I heard recently that I want to bring into the room to start with, and that is like kind of, and I share this too, this idea of like that tension between keeping going, like I have to keep going and keep doing the work, but like how do I do that? How do I keep going like as normal when all these big things are happening? And um I'm having a really hard time even just like processing all of that and keeping up. That's something that I shared with someone recently, someone shared with me. I'm also hearing, so then things are also coming up in the comments too, fatigue, exhaustion, focus, coping with stress and anxiety. Overwhelmed.
Always feeling exhausted.
Yeah, Selena, that onslaught, that constant onslaught of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Bree sharing what you just said, Lynn, maintaining my composure during triggering events or situations kind of goes hand in hand with what you were.
Yeah, maintaining composure. Mm-hmm. I'm just writing some of this down here.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey shares just coping with stress and anxiety.
Right.
The work is never ending, Mimi says, and it's always going against the current.
Overwhelm, onslaught of issues. Ending. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Voluntary group. Mm-hmm. Onto the movement.
Oh, imposter syndrome. Yes, that can be crippling.
Right. Okay. Imposter syndrome seems for me. Okay. Okay. Let's go with overwhelm. So I came to, as Stefania said, I grew up in a foster home and ended up in a prep school. This got me there, right? And I was always battling and advocating for myself because as a little Black boy, you weren't supposed to be going to a prep school. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But I advocated for myself. Long story short, I got into this prep school. Then I got into a good university. And while at this university, so I was kind of used to being the big fish in the small pond. So I went to this elite prep school and I basically kicked these white boys' ass on the gridiron and in the classroom. And they couldn't. So I walked away with their most prestigious award, the Northrop Cup. So scholar athlete. So one that has a balance between, the athletics and scholarship. So I walked away with that award. So going into Tufts University, so I was very comfortable being surrounded by all white folks in that environment. But Tufts University quickly showed me that my Blackness was a problem. So what I was used to, I was used to being the outlandish, loud, because I'm gregarious. I love people. I love to have fun. But when a Black person comes in and has fun and is loud, that's insolent. That's rude. So then I understood, oh, okay, they taught me about perception, right? So no, you doing the same thing. White boy Johnny doing that, he's happy-go-lucky. He's just having a good time. What did the father of the white boy that raped the girl at Stanford behind the dumpster? He was like, he was just having a good time. That's the lens that they see things with. So, again, I was insolent. So take that for 4 years. So they took everything away from me, right? They took away athletics. They took away academics. They took away who I was. They questioned who I was on a daily basis, right? So to talk about imposter syndrome. So they even had me at a point where I was scratching my own head. Well, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I don't belong, right? Because I'm getting this from every single avenue, right? So it became something that was absolutely overwhelming, right? And so imagine, having a tiger, in a cage, you flood the floodlights on them, and then you poke and you jeer and you throw hot water and you spit and you do all these things to it, and then it starts to roar. And then because it roars, it's dangerous, right? It's not because you're poking this lion and doing all these things, but so I started to roar. And so that just grew from my freshman year to my sophomore year. And then I made a decision, I'm going to fight. Like, I'm going to fight every fucking day. I'm going to fight every teacher, every professor, every, white boy that says some crazy shit, like, and is attacking Black girls and people on campus. That's not going to slide. I'm going to deal with it. So I chose every single battle. So then I was now a target on campus. So the cops, they're always coming in this and that. We want to see my ID. My junior year, I'm a student here. I'm not going to show you my ID anymore. Get out of my face. So fast forward, things came to a head my junior year. And so I was, at a party, and cops come in to break the party up. And this cop goes straight to the only other black kid at the party. And it's like, okay, soul brother number one, time to go. And I was like, I went to the kid and I said, hey, man, don't let anyone talk to you like that. You actually belong here. Then the cop is let me see your ID. We're not playing that game. I said, so don't ask me for anything. You know who I am. And so don't ask me for anything. Get out of my face, as a matter of fact. And so he persisted. And then he's like, try to forcibly remove me. And I told this cop, I said, you by yourself are going to do nothing to me. So you better call for help right now. And so he called for help. And so we went to the next party. And I was with a young lady, Orlinka Terry, this Nigerian woman. And she just kept pulling me to the next place, pulling me out of trouble. And they finally surrounded me in the center of Tufts University's campus. 8 cop cars, guns drawn, lights on me, ready to arrest, shoot, whatever. It could have all went down right then. And at that point in my life, I was so angry. I was so incensed. I was ready to die. And this cop standing right in front of me, and I looked at him, and he tried to sneak these cuffs on me, and I actually hit this cop. I gave him a double fist pump. Bam! I said, back the fuck up off of me. And it actually was another cop, a white cop, because the cop that was in my face was the black cop, showing off for the white cops. And this cop said, we've gone too far, stand down. So this cop saved my life. And then Orlinka Terry came in and pulled me away from there. And basically my senior year became a court battle. Fast forward, a professor on campus saw all of this and she saw that I was completely angry. She suggested that I she asked me a question that changed my life. And that question was, have you ever thought about going to Africa? And I was like, of course, I have not thought about that, but that sounds like a great idea. Like, how do I get the fuck out of here? And so she said, I'll give you some programs to apply to. So I went to, I'm going fast over this. I went to that summer before my senior year. I was in Kenya. I turned 22 in the village of Marafa, Kenya. And that was the most transformative experience of my life. Again, I went with all of this rage, all of this fatigue, all of this overwhelm. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't concentrate. Academics, I was in it. I could not sit for a minute and concentrate. I could not go to the bathroom. I could not go to sleep. I had shit growing on my body. So I was completely what we call sympathetic dominant. I was overwhelmed. And in this village with these African people loving me and showering me with love and holding me up in love, it gave me enough time to realize, wow, first, I want what they have. I want this joie de vivre. I want to have joy in my life. And I also realized that I could not have that joy and be convicted in my anger. I can't have, though my anger is justified, it wasn't useful. So I was like, well, how do I let go of this? The light can't be on and off at the same time. How do I deal with, and another great realization was, I realized that my fight was not with Tufts University. My fight was not with America. My fight was not with Donald Trump, pre-Donald Trump, and all the Donald Trumps that were and will come. That was not where my fight was. My fight, and I will offer today to you, your fight is with yourself. Your fight is with yourself. And once I understood that and accepted that, all of this, whatever this angst that was holding me down, I literally felt the weight of the world lift off of my shoulders. And I said, okay, wow. So how do I deal with myself when I'm in the middle of the fight? How do I deal with myself? How do I show up? Again, understanding the way I show up. Composed. I can be composed. I can be out of my mind, or I can be composed. Fast forward, came back, then went back to Africa again, went back to Niger. This time on a longer basis, I signed a 2-year contract. I lived in the Sahara Desert for actually 3 years. 2.5 of these years, I sat with a Sufi monk who was 105 when I met him and looked like me at 105. Had all his faculty about him, had all his natural teeth, could stand and put his legs straight in the air. So I was like, okay. And I was smart enough to know to just sit down and shut the fuck up. Just listen to this man, because I want what you have. And he taught me the most important thing that you will ever do in your life, and that is breathe. And I say that, and it may escape some of you right now. It may escape some of you, right? But when you feel this overwhelm, when you're in the battle, I want you to stop and think, how am I breathing right now? These are concrete things. Write this down. Don't wait for the lesson. The lesson is here. How am I breathing right now? What is the quality of my thoughts right now? What's dominating my thoughts? What am I thinking about? And your mind is like, that TV that has 1,000 channels. Well, when you're watching a channel that you don't like, what do? You change the channel. You can actively change the channel, right? You can actively understand. So the yoga sciences, these are things that thousands of years old that started in Africa. And what we understand in the yoga sciences, when we have this overwhelm, when we're angry, when we go through the fluctuations of the mind, when we're sad, people are bipolar. Everybody's bipolar. Shit, I was, having a great day. I came with a client today and I got some information. One of our friends committed suicide. So I went from high to low, right? That's bipolar, right? I go from one being, oh my God, I'm having a great day, to like, oh my God, like really? So now what do? So don't let nobody diagnose you and give you taking some bullshit for some work that you're not doing for yourself. That's what I say. So if you're taking some stuff, that means you're leaving the work on the table, the work that you need to do. For me to deal with my anger, I had to first make a decision. Let's write that down. You have to make a decision right now in your life. Maybe not today, but at some point you have to make a decision. I don't want to be overwhelmed anymore. I don't want to not be able to sleep anymore. I don't want to have headaches anymore. I don't want to have this pain in my body anymore. I don't want to have this shit grow on my leg anymore. I don't want to have Crohn's disease anymore. I don't want to grow these fibroids anymore. I don't want to have this sciatica anymore. This is real life shit that I deal with, right? And so if you make that decision, you say, okay, what am I willing to do? How am I willing to live my life so that I alleviate that, eliminate that, and then live in a state of health and well-being and equanimity? That takes practice. That takes work. Could I punch? I'm in Sausalito right now. I walk down the street. There's at least 2 people that I want to punch in the fucking face. Every single day. But do I? No, I've decided not to. I can say hi. I can actually have a party. I'm house sitting. this beautiful home here. I'm right here. So these people on this dock were trying their best not to see me. Yeah, we can all feel that. You're walking towards me, and we're in a closed area, and you look up and you look down and you look to the right and you look to the left, every place but me. Oh, okay, you don't see me? And that got me angry. I said, so you know what? How am I going to now transmutate that anger? What am I going to do? So now I'm responding as opposed to reacting. Back at Tufts, I reacted. Motherfucker, you got yeah. I went there. Yeah, yeah, tear some shit up. That was my habit, right? That became embedded in my subconscious mind. I didn't think that there was any other way to react but to fight, right? But now I know better than that. And now I respond. I respond because I've made a decision in my life that I'm not going to live like that. Now, how do I respond to this situation? Okay, first of all, let me breathe right. Let me come down to my lower belly, my dantian. Let me stand up straight. Let me pull my shoulders back a little bit, because when I'm thinking like angry, we understand in the yoga sciences that comes with a breathing pattern. Your grief, your sorrow, your sadness, your anger, your excessive joy comes with a breathing pattern. Well, if you know that, the wisdom in that is that you can change the breathing pattern. So I can come to a place where I neutralize. That's my answer. One of the letters to my answer is stress. That's the N. Neutralize. Okay. So how do I want to proceed on this dock with all these white folks that are not seeing me? I'm going to have a party. I'm going to invite as many black people as I know to come on, walk up and down this motherfucking dock. And I'm going to have a trio. I'm going to have a brother come. Yeah, you bring two other brothers, and we're going to have a drummer. We're going to have a guitar player, and we're going to have a bass player. And we're going to open the fucking doors, and we're going to play beautiful music, and we're going to have people come up and down this dock. In fact, I had United Colors of Benetton up in here. When we was out on the dock right there, you see that dock right there? Oh yeah, we was out there, and we was at the other dock up there. We was all up in here. In fact, one of the sisters that I had here, and she's from Bayview, had her beautiful hair done. You know, she had her hair did. Her hair was dead. Okay, she was out there. She was standing out there on the dock, and she was her fiance, and she kept noticing the person next door, who is one of these idiots. He was standing there because he's seeing all of these people and hearing this music. And then he was standing out there, and she says, wow, that guy is investing a lot of time in trying not to see us. He wondering what's going on and why wasn't I invited? Because you're an asshole. But we can work with you. We can work with you. You can get invited to the next one. We'll teach you how to greet people. We'll teach you how to love. We'll teach you how to be human. Come on in, right? We'll teach you how to step into humanity. So that's what I did, right? And just in that instance, right? In that situation. So coming back to, again, for yourself, is making that decision. You can be in it, but not of it, right? I'm not, exonerated from being a black man in Sausalito in America. I'm not exonerated from that. But what I do understand is that I control this, right? I control this. I control my breath. And as I speak here, I want everybody to just sit up nice and tall as I speak. Interlock your fingers as I speak. Put your hands on your belly as I speak. And start to breathe in through your nose down to your lower belly. Think big Buddha belly. Don't think six pack. Think a big old Buddha belly, filling up from your lower belly. In fact, sitting on your perineum, that's the space between your genitalia and your anus. So filling up a jug from the bottom to the top. So starting to breathe down into your lower belly, your qua, right? Start to do that as I speak. Start to sit up a little taller. Imagine that the top of your head, you're suspended from the ceiling, from the very top of your head. Call that axial extension. Maybe slightly pull your shoulders back a little bit. So, and with that anger, especially if we're dealing with grief and sorrow and sadness, what happens is during the course of our lives, we medially collapse. What do we see in this society? When we see elders in this society, we see people that are hunched forward, right? That is bad habit, right? That is bad habit unmitigated, right? That is bad habit being submerged, lodged in the subconscious mind, and the body bears the burden. So now that I told you that, so how is this 105-year-old man spry and open? Because he understands that, and he doesn't walk around like that. He sits up. He sits up. So in Niger, in the greeting in the Hausa area I was in, you say, the greeting is, one of the greetings is Sanu, which means slowly, slow down to go faster. Slow your ass down. You running all over the place? Well, stop running all over the place. Let me handle this task right here. Sanu, Nazamen lahia. I sit and I breathe in health. That's the greeting. Nazamen lahia. I sit and I breathe in health. That is the greeting. That's what people are saying to each other. So it's a constant reminder. What's going on? Oh, Nazamen lahia. Sanu, how's work? Work is good. How's the wind? Oh, the wind is blowing now. It's time for the wind to blow. Lakachishimana. So this is part of who he is. This is part of who they are. This is part of who we come from as Africans, as people of color, right? This is who we are. So go back to what we already know, because your grandmama will tell you to stop slouching, sit up. Grandma don't tell you that, right? You stop eating that crazy stuff and come over here. You don't need a McDonald's hamburger. Let me make you a fresh hamburger with some real meat, right? So a lot of the things that we're looking for, we already know. We already introduced to the world. But again, white supremacy has kept that away from us, and now they're selling some shit back to us. So when we look at yoga, we think it's about a skinny white girl that can put her legs behind her head. Don't look nothing like me. Don't look like nothing like none of us, right? I was in a room with all white women one time. I was like, even y'all ain't skinny enough, and you ain't young enough. Even y'all can't be on yoga chair, right? So again, reclaim that. Reclaim that. Don't let somebody tell you what you brought to the world, what you introduced, right? So reclaim your history. Oh, that yoga. No. You are yoga. You are yoga. Don't believe that Western hype. Don't believe that Western hype. So reclaim that. Reclaim that. What else? Sitting up, breathing. Take a couple breaths here. Sometimes we have to extricate. We have to remove ourselves from situations. Sometimes it's too much. So when the plane is going down, what do they say? Put your mask on first. There's a reason why you should put your mask on first, right? You have to take care of yourself first, right? If there's smoke all about and I'm trying to help the person next to me, and now I'm asphyxiating myself, and I'm not in my right mind, and then I can't put their mask on and my mask not on, then we both die. Right? But if I say, hey, let me take care of myself first, get that set up. Now I'm breathing in this fresh air. Now I can turn and I can deal with you. I can help you. Understand that piece. Because if you're out of your goddamn mind, you're not helping anybody else. So you're going out here, yeah, we fighting out here every day. But when I show up in a correctional facility, when I show up in San Quentin, when I show up in San Bruno County Jail, when I show up in the sheriff's office, and I go in and I just walk in, I'm centered, I'm there. Brothers see me like, yo, what he on? Hey, you do martial arts, bro? You do? I'm bringing that in there. So go crazy, bro. Oh yeah. And you get all this energy coming at you, especially when you're trying to help folks. Now, how many of us have tried to help people that are in a terrible situation and they basically come back to you and you're the person that they attack? Right? Because they're not in their right mind. And if you're not in your right mind, then you get caught up in that. You're like, motherfucker, I'm trying to help you. And come on now. I'm the only one. Come on now. Right? So, but if you're centered and in your own mind, you can see, again, survey the situation. That's the S in the answer. Survey the situation. Oh, this is not about me. This is about this person's pain. This is about this person, me holding up a mirror and letting them see themselves for the first time. And then they don't like what they see. And then now they're coming back at me. But I'm going to hold this for you, bro. It's okay, bro. It's all good. Yeah. Okay, I'll be a motherfucker today. Okay, cool. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, bro. Hey. I'm holding. As people were being literally beat down and pepper sprayed and carried back to their cell, I'd be sitting there on my mat, be like, hey, bro, I'm going to hold this love here for you. Fuck you, nigga. Losing their mind. And after a while, they're like, dude. As I remember one kid, 15 years old, Joseph. He's watching this. He cussed me out for about 6 months. And then a new person came into the facility and started cussing me out. And then this kid looked at, and I just said, hey, just being calm. And the kid, Joseph, looked at, he goes, bruh, you don't get angry? I said, I thought you 15. That's how old are you, bro? You 16. I said, bruh, you a snotty-nosed kid, man. I told you when I sat in the desert and my teacher, Abdul Karim Hassan, taught me how to breathe, and I learned how to breathe, and I found my center and realized this immense energy that I have in my silence, right? In my quietude and being centered. I realized how much energy I was giving for dumb shit. And I made a vow to myself, I made a decision, I'm not going to give anybody that energy. You can't have this, bruh. I told this young boy, I was like, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You can't have this. Do you know that boy, Joseph? It was Jack Black Bust Back is his name. That's the name his mama gave him. Jack Black Bust Back. Baby, if somebody's shooting at you, you shoot back. So that tells you why he was locked up, right? Because his mama was teaching him that. So he looked at that. All subsequent classes from that point forward, he would come in and, the guys be bantering at each other and this and that, throwing something at him, trying to get him. Jack Black would look at him, he said, nigga, you can't have this. He adopted it. First, I modeled it. So you lawyers, when you show up to these crazy situations, you got to model it. You got to be what you want people to do. You can't show up and be out of your mind. That means that you have to have a practice. I hate to be a bearer of bad news. You have to have a practice. You got to get up in the morning. You got to, if nothing else, sit there and breathe. If nothing else, get your mind right. Don't wake up, oh my God, I'm hitting the alarm. I got 5 minutes to get out the door. You're starting behind the ball. You're already starting sympathetic dominant. And then you got the coffee. And then you got the that. Then you got this. You may take a little too. You got this. You got that. And you showing up out of your mind. Talk about you here to help somebody. It don't work that way. So the fact that I could show up and model for these brothers, hey, bro, like, how you, bro, you don't get angry yet? No. Yeah, and if I do, I know what to do, right? I breathe this way. I do this. I do that. I have a practice. My medicine is getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Even if I don't get out of the bed, I open my eyes. That's medicine. What else am I doing as medicine? I travel. I expand my awareness and my consciousness. So at the end of June, I'm hitting Italy, I'm hitting Spain, I got a workshop in Hungary, I'm gonna hit France, and one other country I can't think of right now that I'm gonna hit. Because I'm gonna go change the air. I'm gonna speak with different people, I'm gonna eat different food, I'm gonna live with people that love life, that love each other. I'm gonna get out in the bush of Italy, the bush of Hungary, the bush of Spain, on the beach. Yeah, I'm going to replenish. I'm going to put my motherfucking mask on first, right? Take care of myself. And then when I come back here, I'll have something to give you. But if I'm depleted and out of my mind and tired, I don't have anything to give you. So you have to sometimes extricate yourself from the situation. I'm shutting it down. Guess what? If I don't come out of my house for the next couple of days, guess what? The world is still going to be okay. The world is going to go on without me. So let go of your ego. You ain't that important, actually. Be irrelevant, right? Allow yourself to be. Traveling also is a great tool because it allows you to be irrelevant. So all the shit that you believe in, guess what? Somebody else don't even know about none of that shit and don't care about none of that shit. Not an insult, but oh, we do things like this way, bro. Oh, wow. And if you have any smarts about you and wherewithal about you, be like, well, damn, let me check that out. Whoa, Abdul Karim, well, how do you live to be 105 looking like that? Well, sit down and shut up. Yes, sir. Sanu Badahan. Now, I would have to be a fool to live in that environment, to live with this man for 2.5 years and not adopt and really get empirically how this man was living, right? So you have to adopt and incorporate these things in your life. It's not intellectual. I have some friends, they're Ivy League. They want to intellectualize everything and not do any work. Right? And some of you are probably that smart and you want to intellectualize it. And then you don't want to chop the wood and carry the water. You don't want to do that mundane practice. So it comes back to you. It comes back to you. I want to tell you, if you're in pain, if you're overwhelmed, well, where does overwhelm live? Where does overwhelm live? I'm going to stop right there for a second. Tell me, people, where does overwhelm live?
And while people are thinking about where that feeling lives in their bodies, I want to make sure that we have enough time for Q&A from the audience. And I also want you to share again those 3 questions that you ask yourself when you sit to breathe. You have 3 simple questions. You mentioned them earlier, but just to remind us what those are.
So. Okay. So what I would say is every hour on the hour, lawyers, make an alarm, set it up. We got the technology. Every hour on the hour, when your alarm goes off, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. First question is, how am I in my body right now? You're going to probably catch yourself doing some shit like this. And then you're working. And then you're collapsed in on your diaphragm. And then you're thinking heavy. And I can't believe this motherfucker did this. And I'm trying to work and I can't concentrate. And I've been reading this last sentence for the last fucking hour. Yeah, right? That's what happens. So sit up nice and tall. I've already reversed that. I stacked. I brought my ears are over my shoulders are over my hips. And if I'm standing, my hips are over my knees over my ankles. So first thing, how am I in my body right now? Correct that. Elongate. Sit up. What is the quality of my breath right now? And you're going to probably catch yourself breathing short and shallow, breathing in your chest, right? So it's the breathing becomes upside down, an upside down triangle. We have to turn that triangle right side up. So the big part of the pyramid is down in the lower belly. So, and at that point, start to breathe in through your nose, down to your lower belly as you sit up nice and tall, as you elongate. Third question. What are the quality of my thoughts? What am I thinking about right now? What thoughts are dominating my mind right now? Are these thoughts expansive or are these thoughts contractive? So me just being angry walking up and down here, this dock, that if I just think about these motherfuckers, then I said, okay, let me organize a party. I had 2 parties here, humdingers. They were the second one I sent out, unfortunately, Stepbody couldn't. Lynn, I don't know if did I send an invite to you? Okay, well, next one, yeah. So I flew up my first guitar teacher, who's a world-renowned guitarist. He came up here and I did a yoga class while he played. And he played the healing. I knew it was going to blow the doors off, but it blew the doors off. That was the quality. We talked about this years ago, and he's like, wow, like you actually made this come to fruition. What are the quality of my thoughts? I can walk around here angry as fuck, or I can say, you know what? What am I going to do constructively? So I took all that anger and we had a ball, and that was medicine. So those are the 3 questions. How am I in my body right now? What is the quality of my breath right now? Is it short and shallow and choppy? Or am I breathing down into my Dantian? Right? Making it deep, more rich, satisfying. And what are the quality of my thoughts? Am I thinking some crazy shit right now? And is that on loop? Because that's what it was for me at Tufts. I would sit up all night, literally all night, thinking about what happened and what I was going to do and who I had a list of motherfuckers I had to deal with the next day, every day. And that wore me down.
That's related to the comments. People are answering your question about where overwhelm lives. And people are saying, it lives in my shoulders. It lives in my mind. That mental clutter that lingers. Inability to concentrate, my muscles, that sickness, pain. And so I see that, I relate to that. It's someone in my throat, pressure in my brain. I see that, I relate to that, and I'm mapping it to what you're saying now, right? Those 3 questions. How's my body? What's the quality of my breathing? What's the quality of my thoughts?
So in that, everyone, that's great. So who has the control over overwhelm?
Mm-hmm.
So if it lives here, do I have access to your mind?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have access to your throat? Unless I grab you. Do I have access to your breath? Do I have access to what's happening to you physiologically? Now, if I'm fighting someone, if I'm jousting with someone intellectually and they don't have this information, yeah, I'm going to say the thing that's going to hurt them. And so they're actually giving me. And so that's what Jack Black realized. You can't have this. No matter how much you cuss me out or talk about my mother. It's all good, bro. You can't have this. You can't have the reaction that you're looking for. So you're right. Overwhelm resides with you. That's where overwhelm lives. And if you understand that, guess what? You're empowered to do something about it. It's not waiting for Donald Trump to get his shit right, and then I'm going to be okay. Once he get his shit okay, then I'm going to be okay. That's not the equation. I'm going to be okay regardless of what any of these fools do. Mm-hmm. Right? Oh my God, the world's upside down. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? I got up early this morning. Thank God. Got up. I went for a walk. Okay, got upside down. You see that there right there? Yeah, see that thing can you see that? Yeah, that's a little hoist for me. I get upside down, I hang upside down. Yep, decompress my back, open up. 5 minutes on that, boom. Whom shall I fear? I lost everything in my life. Quick story, I lost everything in my life pretty much. I came back to the States, and I realized I needed to be in my yoga class. I was like, okay, I lost everything. Money, car, blah, 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 identity, assumed, And my mantra for that 8 months that I was homeless was, after a 2-hour yoga class, I would go with the little money I had. I would get like 2 ounces of wheatgrass. And that was it. Sometimes that would be all I would have for the day. Get this superior nutrition and get my breathing and my movement. And my mantra was 2 hours of yoga, 2 ounces of wheatgrass. Whom shall I fear? I walked in my life like that for 8 months, homeless. I was good. A couple friends told me, like, fool, you homeless? You looking good. Homeless is out there. Homeless doesn't have to be here. It doesn't have to be here. That's the power. That's your power. Should you accept it? You can relinquish that. You can have somebody play with your mind and all of that, but I want to let you know, it comes back to you. Are you empowering yourself, or are you disempowering yourself?
We want to make space for folks who might have questions to ask their questions now. We have about 5 minutes left together. Questions or comments or any feedback whatsoever.
One thing I want to say is, first of all, thank you, Anthony, for being with us today on this day. We were together also last week on the anniversary of George Floyd's murder, breathing together, healing, which was the day after the shootings in Texas. And so that, again, going back to that, being inundated with boom, boom, boom. And I'm grateful that you continue to remind me how what's happening out there, although it's real and we live in it, does not have to be what happens in here, with practice. And it does take that practice and that commitment. So I just wanted to extend that gratitude. And I know for me, gratitude is part of that practice for me, having, reminding myself, like, in addition to that breathing, in addition to like that gratitude can change my thoughts, right? That can change the quality of my thoughts.
Yes.
There's a lot of gratitude coming up for you in the chat, right, in the comments right now.
Well,
yes.
thank y'all. And with that, I will say this. So when Stefania talked, she mentioned Texas. I didn't know what she was talking about, because I'm not in this, and I don't read newspapers, and I don't watch the news. When the news is supposed to get to me, it gets to me. So I found out, and in fact, I reached out to her about 2 days later or something. It's like, oh, are you okay? Like, I just found out about that. So we don't need to be on every bad thing that's happening, right? When it's time for us to know it, it'll get to us, and then we deal with it. So this right here, actively lose this. Actively, I'm gonna lose this in my glove compartment for the day or half a day. Like, I'm gonna just remember that hopefully we're old enough to remember when we didn't have these, and life went on just fine without them, right? So do that for yourself. Say, you know what, I'm gonna actively lose my phone today, and see how that will help you out.
Yeah.
Yes, a couple of people echoing what you just said, Selena. I cut the news out of my life for my own self-care. Yeah, that's a form of self-care.
And I was sitting here thinking, like, our audience is primarily lawyers and professionals and stuff. And the number of times I've been in rooms with folks like this, with our scholars who will become lawyers, and the first thing that comes to the conversation is this burden to be in all of these spaces at once, especially as people of color, as lawyers of colors, as public interest lawyers. We want to be there always. And it's very rare that you give yourself permission to stop and to back away.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a skill that our community of lawyers and activists can really hone. It's not something that is the norm. So I want to thank you all so much. Thank you, Anthony. It's the first time we're meeting virtually, but
Thank you.
you have such a big impact already on me personally. And I want to thank Lynn and Stefania. This has been such a great journey. All of our events, which has been about like 6 events now, are available on changelawyers.org for you all to watch. And I know this isn't the end of it. It's just the end for right now for June 2020, but we will continue creating content for all of you and for our community. So I want to thank everyone and wave to you all goodbye. Thanks for joining us. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I agree with Amanda. That was a fantastic session. And I really also appreciated Anthony's vibe and just how the energy he brought into the room, which I think is very rare for legal spaces. So thank you all for joining us today. I want to invite you 1 week from today. We're going to be having our very, very final Leaders Forum event. This one is going to be a pretty big pivot, although maybe not so much. We're going to be talking about public speaking. So if you have plans to run for office or be in any sort of public or leadership position, public speaking will come up for you. And I know that for me, it's very anxiety inducing. So if you're interested in public speaking, we're going to be having a public speaking 101 webinar next week at the same time, same day. The link, you can look at the link in the description box to sign up. Otherwise, thank you so much for being with us and take care.